After years of working, saving, and investing, you open your phone and check your account. The number in front of you is 10万美元. You stare at it for a long time. It is not revenue. It is not borrowed money. It is not the value of a house you still have to pay off for another 20 years. This is money that truly belongs to you. $100,000. You always thought that when this day came, you would scream with excitement. You would buy an expensive bottle of wine. You would call everyone you knew. You would take a screenshot and post it online to prove that you had finally made it. But when the number actually appears, you remain silent. There are no fireworks, no applause, no one standing beside you saying, "You finally did it." There is only you, a quiet room, a phone in your hand, and years of memories running through your mind. You remember the days when, as soon as your paycheck arrived, you automatically transferred part of it into your investment account. You remember watching your friends upgrade their phones, buy new cars, and travel while you kept using the same old things. You remember working late while other people were out enjoying themselves. You remember the months when your income increased, but your lifestyle barely changed. You remember the moments when you wanted to quit because your account seemed to grow painfully slowly. And you remember asking yourself, is all of this really worth it? Today, you finally have the answer. Yes, it was worth it. But there is one truth very few people tell you. $100,000 is not the finish line. It is the point where the rules of the financial game begin to change. From this moment forward, you are no longer pulling the entire financial wagon by yourself. Your money begins pulling with you. And unless you destroy the system that brought you here, the journey from $100,000 to $1 million may happen much faster than you ever imagined. Charlie Munger is often associated with one famous idea: the first $100,000 is the hardest. You have to get there by any means necessary. Walk instead of driving if you have to. Live extremely frugally if you have to. Cut every unnecessary expense if you have to. It may sound extreme, but only people who have built wealth from nothing understand how brutal the early stage can be. When you begin, you have almost nothing. You save $300. The next month, you add another $500. After several months, your investment account reaches $2,000. You look at that number and do not feel any closer to becoming wealthy. You invest $2,000. The market rises by 8% over the year. You make approximately $160. $160. You might be able to earn that amount in 1 or 2 days of work. So you begin asking yourself, how am I ever going to become wealthy like this? And this is exactly where many people quit. They do not quit because the plan is wrong. They quit because the early results are too small. They are not patient enough to survive the period when their assets are still too small to make a noticeable difference. In the beginning, compound interest is almost invisible. It is still working, but the effect is so small that you can barely feel it. Most of the growth in your wealth comes directly from your own labor. You have to earn the money. You have to save it. You have to invest it. You have to remain disciplined. You have to fight the urge to spend it. And you have to keep going even when no one recognizes your effort. That is why building wealth at the beginning is so boring. No one applauds when you transfer another $500 into an index fund. No one praises you for continuing to drive an old car. No one knows that you rejected another night out so that you could keep more money for your future. People only see the final result. They do not see the thousands of small decisions that created it. Someone with $100,000 is not necessarily the person who earned the most money. They may simply be the person who kept more of what they earned. They understand that a high income does not automatically create wealth. You can earn $10,000 per month and spend $11,000. That does not make you wealthy. It only makes you a high-income spender. Meanwhile, someone earning less money but saving consistently, avoiding consumer debt, and investing over time may build far more wealth. Real wealth is not determined by how much money passes through your hands. It is determined by how much money stays and continues working for you. In terms of value, $100,000 is only 10% of $1 million, but in terms of time, the first $100,000 may represent roughly 27% to 33% of the entire journey. That may sound impossible, but consider how wealth grows. When you have $5,000 and earn an average return of 8% per year, your assets generate only about $400. You still have to do nearly all the work. You are the engine. You are the source of capital. You are the driving force. But when you have $100,000, an assumed annual return of 7% to 8%, can generate approximately $7,000 to $8,000 in 1 year. That return is not guaranteed. Some years the market rises, other years it falls. But over a long enough period, the size of your investment portfolio begins to make a meaningful difference. Think about it. Suppose you invest $500 every month. That means you personally contribute $6,000 per year. But if a $100,000 portfolio grows by 8%, your assets may produce approximately $8,000. For the first time, your money may earn more than the amount you personally contribute. This is the shift. Before this point, you work for money. After this point, money begins working beside you. You still need to keep investing. You still need to increase your income. You still need discipline, but you are no longer working alone. Your financial team now has another employee. That employee does not sleep. It does not ask for time off. It does not complain. It does not demand a raise. That employee is your accumulated capital. Your capital generates more money. That new money is then reinvested. Returns begin producing additional returns. This is when compound interest stops being a boring concept from a finance book and becomes a real force in your life. Imagine your wealth as a snowball. You are standing at the top of a mountain. In your hands, you have only a small handful of snow. You place it on the ground and begin rolling it forward. Stage 1, the grind. This is the journey from $0 to $100,000. The snowball is still too small. It does not have enough weight to roll on its own. You have to bend down. You have to push with both hands. Every meter requires effort. Progress is slow. Sometimes the snowball breaks apart. You have to gather the pieces and start again. Sometimes the market falls. Sometimes you lose your job. Sometimes your family faces unexpected expenses. Sometimes you need to pause your investments to deal with an emergency. This is the most difficult stage, not because you do not understand investing, but because your assets are still too small. During this stage, your savings rate may be more important than trying to find extraordinary returns. A person with $2,000 does not need to spend all day trying to increase their return from 8% to 10%. The difference is only $40 per year. That person should focus on increasing income, eliminating bad debt, and contributing more capital. But many people do the opposite. They have very little money, yet they become obsessed with finding an investment that will increase tenfold. They want extraordinary returns to replace discipline. They want to skip the accumulation stage. They want the snowball to roll by itself before it has enough weight. And that is how they begin gambling. They buy an asset because someone else posted a huge profit. They chase stocks that have already risen sharply. They bet on cryptocurrencies they do not understand. They hope that one correct decision will change their life. But in many cases, one stupid decision destroys all the capital they spent years building. The truth is difficult to hear. During the early stage, you cannot afford to be lazy. You cannot afford to daydream. You cannot live like a millionaire when your savings cannot even protect you for 3 months. You need to earn more, keep more, invest more consistently, and continue doing it for a long time. Stage 2, the shift. You reach $100,000. The snowball is larger now. You still need to push it, but gravity begins to help. The journey from $100,000 to $200,000 may happen much faster than the journey from $0 to $100,000. If you continue contributing consistently while your existing capital also grows, the pace begins to accelerate. You start seeing months when your account grows by more than the amount you deposited. You begin to feel it. Money is actually producing more money. But this stage is also dangerous. When you begin seeing results, you may start believing you are exceptionally talented. You may become overconfident. You may destroy the simple strategy that brought you this far. You start wanting faster results. You see someone earning 50% in a few months, and suddenly your 8% return feels too slow. You change strategies. You trade more frequently. You make larger bets. And many people return to the starting line because they cannot tolerate the boredom of an effective strategy. Stage 3, the snowball. When your portfolio becomes large enough, investment returns may begin to exceed your personal contributions. Suppose you have $500,000. At an assumed 8% return, your portfolio could grow by approximately $40,000 in 1 year. $40,000. That may be more than another person can save over several years. If your assets reach $1 million, an 8% change represents $80,000. At that level, Your assets may generate more money than your job. That is the power of scale. Wealthy people do not necessarily work 100 times harder than you. The difference is that every percentage point of growth on a large pool of capital creates a significant amount of money. If you have $1,000, a 10% return equals $100. If you have $1 million, a 10% return equals $100,000. The percentage is the same. The result is completely different. That is why people who already own assets can accumulate wealth faster. They have built a larger machine. There is one major problem. If you currently have only $1,000, the goal of reaching $100,000 may feel impossible. You use a calculator. You realize it could take 7 years, 10 years, maybe even 15 years. Your brain immediately responds, "That is too long. I will never make it. I might as well enjoy my money today." This is why distant goals often destroy motivation. You look toward the top of the mountain and feel like you have made no progress. Instead of obsessing over $100,000, divide the journey into smaller milestones. Your first $1,000, then $5, then $10, then $21, then $50, and finally, $100,000. Among these milestones, $21,000 is especially interesting. Mathematically, if $21,000 is invested for 45 years at an average annual return of 9% and no additional money is added, it could grow to more than $1 million. Of course, real-world returns are never guaranteed. Inflation, taxes, investment fees, and market volatility can all affect the final result. But the calculation reveals something extremely important. Time is incredibly powerful. $21,000 will not make you wealthy today, but it may represent a large enough seed. When planted in the right place and given enough time, that seed may grow into an enormous tree. The problem is that many people never give the seed enough time. They invest today. Tomorrow, they check the account. The following week, the market drops by 5%, and they panic. A month later, another asset rises sharply, so they sell the original investment and chase the new one. They keep digging up the seed to check whether the roots have grown. Then they complain that compound interest does not work. No, compound interest still works. Your lack of patience does not. Weak people are addicted to the feeling of getting rich quickly. Mature people build systems that prevent them from becoming poor again. Many people believe the hardest part is earning the first $100,000. But once you reach that milestone, you face a different kind of challenge. You must protect your success from yourself. Trap 1. Lifestyle inflation. When your account reaches 6 figures, your brain begins whispering, "You deserve a reward. It is time to upgrade the car. It is time to move into a better home. It is time to buy an expensive watch so people know you are successful." Lifestyle inflation does not knock on your door and say, "I am here to steal your future." It enters your life disguised as reasonable rewards. Your income rises by 20%, but your expenses rise by 30%. You buy a more expensive car. You eat at more expensive restaurants. You travel more often. You subscribe to more services. Each individual expense appears harmless, but together, they destroy your savings rate. You earn more money, yet gain no additional freedom. You simply become a higher-level consumer. This is the most dangerous kind of poverty. From the outside, you appear successful. On the inside, you are still dependent on the next paycheck. Do not confuse looking wealthy with actually being wealthy. A luxury car may convince your neighbors that you are successful, but a strong investment portfolio gives you the ability to leave a toxic job. Trap 2. Overconfidence. You invested consistently. The market performed well. Your account reached $100,000. Now you begin believing that you have a special talent. You assume your previous returns came from your exceptional ability. You abandon diversified and boring investments. You begin concentrating your money in a few individual stocks. You want your wealth to grow faster. You tell yourself, "I only need one successful trade to reach $1 million." But that is no longer investing. It is gambling disguised with intelligent language. A boring strategy that survives for 30 years is often more powerful than an exciting strategy that survives for 6 months. The market does not care how many times you were right. One bad decision with too much money can erase years of progress. Do not be stupid enough to spend 10 years building a house and then burn it down because you wanted a bigger house immediately. Trap 3. Panic selling. You open your account. Your $100,000 has fallen to $87,000. The news is negative everywhere. People say the market is about to collapse. People say this time is different. You feel like you have lost $13,000. Fear makes you want to sell everything. You tell yourself that you will buy back when the market becomes stable. But the market does not send you a notification before it recovers. It may rise sharply while you are still sitting on the sidelines. Then you watch prices move higher and become afraid to buy back. You wait for another drop. The market continues rising. Eventually, you miss the recovery. The problem is not that markets fluctuate. The problem is that you did not establish rules before the volatility began. When people panic, they stop making decisions. They react. That is why you need a strategy in advance. How long are you investing? How much risk can you tolerate? What will you do if your account falls by 10%, 20%, or 30%? If you cannot answer those questions while calm, you will do something stupid while afraid. Silent millionaires do not necessarily wear luxury brands. They do not need to post screenshots of their bank balances. They do not turn their lives into a performance. They simply repeat basic actions for a very long time. First, they automate. As soon as their salary arrives, part of it is automatically transferred into an investment account. They do not wait until the end of the month to see what remains, because by the end of the month, there is usually nothing left. They pay their future selves first. Then they live on what remains. Automation removes the monthly argument with yourself. You no longer ask, should I invest this month? Or should I buy that product first? The system has already made the decision for you. Second, they simplify. They do not change strategies after every online video. They do not spend all day staring at charts. They do not trade constantly just to feel productive. They understand that more activity does not necessarily create better results. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is avoid destroying a system that already works. Investing does not need to be exciting. It needs to be effective. The more you turn investing into entertainment, the more likely you are to lose money. Third, they sacrifice aggressively in the beginning. When your assets are still small, every additional dollar you save has a major impact. If you have only $5,000, saving an additional $500 each month can dramatically change your progress. But when you already have $1 million, an extra $500 per month has a much smaller proportional effect. That is why the early years may be the time to act most aggressively. Take extra work when possible. Learn valuable skills. Increase your income. Cut expenses that do not create value. Live on 50% to 60% of your income if your circumstances allow it. This does not mean living miserably forever. It means accepting a temporary period of pressure so that your future can expand. Weak people always demand comfort today while dreaming of wealth tomorrow. I am sorry, but life does not work that way. You cannot demand financial freedom while spending every dollar to impress people who do not even care about you. To have what others do not have, you must be willing to do what others refuse to do. Fourth, they do not upgrade their lifestyle after every raise. A higher income does not mean your expenses must immediately increase. You can improve your quality of life, but it must be intentional. Do not earn an extra $1,000 and immediately find a way to spend an extra $1,200. Every increase in income is an opportunity to accelerate your wealth. You may choose to maintain the same lifestyle for another year or two. Then invest the additional income. That difference may buy back years of freedom in the future. When you reach $100,000, do not ask, what can I buy? Ask, what can I finally refuse? You can refuse a client who constantly disrespects you. You can refuse a job that is destroying your health. You can take several months away from work to learn a valuable skill. You can care for your family without immediately falling into financial crisis. You can say no without fear. This is the real power of money. It is not buying a more expensive bag. It is not driving a car that attracts the attention of strangers. It is refusing to sell your time, health, and dignity because you are afraid of missing a payment. $100,000 does not make you rich enough to ignore every problem, but it gives you breathing room. And in life, breathing room is a form of power. People without emergency savings are forced to tolerate many things: a terrible boss, a toxic environment, an unreasonable client, an unhealthy relationship. Not because they are weak, but because they have no alternative. Assets create options. And freedom does not mean doing anything you want. Freedom means not being forced to do what you hate because you are terrified of being unable to pay your bills. Do not finish this video, nod your head, and move on. Do not turn financial knowledge into intellectual entertainment. You need to act. First, calculate your current net worth. How much cash do you have? How much money is invested? How much debt do you owe? Which assets are producing money? Which assets are taking money away from you? Do not guess. Write down the numbers. You cannot improve something you refuse to measure. Second, choose your nearest milestone. It does not have to be $100,000. It may be $5,000, 1,000,000 yuan, 2,100,000 yuan, or health rates. Null. Your target should be close enough to feel achievable, but large enough to force you to change your behavior. Third, automate your investments. As soon as your income arrives, move a fixed percentage into savings or investments. You may begin with 5%. 5%. Start with a number that fits your current circumstances, but do not remain still. Whenever your income increases, raise your investment rate before upgrading your lifestyle. Fourth, focus on increasing your income. You cannot cut expenses forever. There is a limit to how much you can save, but the potential to increase your income may be much larger. Learn a new skill. Take additional work. Build a second source of income. Create a digital asset. Start a YouTube channel. Sell content. Build a system that continues producing money without forcing you to exchange every hour directly for income. Finally, write down rules that prevent self-destruction. Do not upgrade your car just because your account increased. Do not invest your entire net worth in one opportunity. Do not borrow money to speculate. Do not panic sell because of negative headlines. Do not change strategies every week. Do not compare your first chapter with someone else's 20th chapter. You do not need a perfect plan. You need a plan that is good enough and durable enough to continue for years. POV. You look at the account again. 10,000,000 yuan. Now you understand that this number represents more than money. It represents every time you said no, no to impulsive spending, no to proving yourself, no to buying things you did not need, no to foolish investments, no to living according to other people's expectations. $100,000 represents thousands of disciplined days that no one witnessed. It proves that you built a system, and from this point forward, the game begins to change. You are no longer pulling the entire wagon by yourself. Your assets begin pulling with you. But do not become arrogant. Do not destroy something that took years to build just to appear wealthy for a few minutes. Let other people show off their cars. You accumulate choices. Let other people chase the next quick win. You continue building the snowball. Let other people laugh because your strategy is too simple and too boring. Because one day, that boring strategy may buy back your time, peace, and freedom. The first $100,000 is difficult, but you do not need to reach it overnight. You only need to continue. Continue earning. Continue saving. Continue investing. Continue learning. Continue even when the account grows slowly. Continue on the days when no one applauds, because the winner in the wealth-building game is not the person who runs fastest for 1 month. It is the person with enough discipline to remain in the race for thousands of days. And maybe today, you still do not have $100,000. That is fine. Reach your first $1,000, then $5, then $10, then $21, then $50. One step at a time. Never underestimate small progress. Every massive fortune began with a small amount of money that was saved instead of spent. Your financial future will not be determined by one lucky day. It will be determined by the actions you repeat every day. So from this moment forward, ask yourself, do you want to keep using money to impress other people? Or do you want to use money to buy back your own life? The choice is yours.